Now, on. I have to. Feel like this video is gonna look quite crazy on YouTube. Tiresome, let's say, events, but you're gonna have difficulties dealing with discipline. Discipline fixes that as much as possible. You cannot control the world, but you can definitely control yourself. They feel like they can step over it. They feel like they can just march forward through any deal and either you take it or leave it. Sales, more than 90% of cases, more than 95 with some people and some business, I would say. All the work that you do adds to nothing. All the work that you do, even if you're an owner, CEO, it adds to nothing. I'm gonna go straight to the point. I'm a big guy on a movement and on business, and I feel like this is a place where I can kind of merge those, because if I can actually just show you, I don't really have a lot of time. It's basically 12:30 midnight. I don't really have a lot of time to do any sports or do any videos out of work, and I still like doing those things. I owe it to explain who had this place in the past. The oldest boxing trainer in the world, Todor Zandanov or Zandana. Just in short, first of all, he has more than 100 medals for coaching in boxing. He's trained 3 world champions, including the brothers Pulev inside of that. In my training sessions with Zandana, with Todor Zandanov, I have to tell you, that's as old school as you can get. Guy, he sadly, recently he passed. And a lot of the guys here, actually, I have to say big props to them. They took it on their back to liven up the whole and everything, and actually start taking younger guys, younger kids, and train them. And I've seen so much activity during the work days, specifically here. I've seen it online. I don't really, again, as you can see, it's midnight. I'm not really in place to do anything myself, but amazing work on the guys after his passing on actually taking the initiative to train new people, especially in my opinion kids, because a sport like this, actually any sport, there's a cat. I don't know if, actually, you know what, warning, really quick warning here, I don't want to torture you with this video too much, so I'm actually gonna cut it and edit stuff out of it, but hopefully I can make it more natural as time passes by. So as mentioned, cut. The guys here are taking care of the whole and the training sessions, and young guys, super experts, really good in boxing. I'm really happy that they're taking care of the kids like this, and actually like older guys that want to train as well. And Todor Zandanov was really old school, hard training, I would say, like the fighting dog, if you meet him, if you could have met him even at this elderly age, that I think it was 87, 88, something like that, you would still be amazed. The guy, his hands, at least, if I really take the about past, like in the back of my head, 5 to 6 years ago, and behind that part, so more than 5 to 6 years ago, he was still a beast. And from him, and also one more really big trainer, but as I'm not seeing a rowing club right now, the boxing one, I'm not gonna go too much into it. It's Ivan Veselinov, the Fortune. Basically the same, I would call it almost the same person. Everybody has differences, but in academic rowing, both of those guys really focused a lot on discipline, how you have to do something regardless of how you feel, how you have to handle yourself, how you have to handle problems, how you have to defend and attack, in this case here, metaphorically speaking. And they really cared about the behavior, especially of young guys. And I feel like this is something so special that anybody that has really stepped into a real, I would say, sports environment, a real coaching environment, would understand what I mean. I hope that we keep having people like this because it teaches, sports is the least that they teach. Let's just put it like this. Sports is the least that they teach. They actually show you how to be a human being in the realest sense, regardless if you like it or not, because they speak truth and they coach the same. And I have a really, I would say, deep spot in my heart for these people. And I'm really thankful that I had the chance to be coached by them and even just to shake hands. So yeah, there's the cat. Mr. Cat, hi there. I don't know if he's visible, right behind the yellow bucket. As you can see also, by the way, really, I would say one specific that I haven't seen in many places for Todor Zandanov is that he's a really real patriot, and he would have all of these posters here of heroes, national heroes, historical dates. Also here you cannot really see it. And I think that's a big thing, especially for kids when they come in, because he would also ask questions on those things. And hopefully he knew the answer. So I'm not gonna go too much into this or further for now. Hardly, by the way, if I take any one of my corporate clients or somebody in enterprise or a big investment fund, family office, and they see this video, I really hope they don't cut ties with me, because it doesn't, the whole idea behind this channel is to be natural as much as I can. So this is not really like too much business oriented, but Metanice, the company, overall we do a lot of consulting and sales training on the sales part, business development and sales part. And more in the past, we started going into investor relations in assisting companies and projects from the following sectors: renewables, real estate, mining, and tech startups, but a little bit there because those are quite difficult in my opinion. So we assist those companies and owners of projects to acquire funding, financing, equity, doesn't matter. I mean, it kind of depends on the situation. And I actually see, I don't think it's even a secret, that obviously communicating with investors, communicating with their consultants, their assistants, it has almost no difference to how you would, sell a service or a product. It really doesn't. I mean, it's all communication. Like the word sales, I feel like we just use it throughout the years as a synonym in business for communication. And yeah, and of course the whole idea is to influence the person on the other side. But majority of these owners, if we take a tech startup, it's typically super young people or somebody that's really technically oriented, and they totally ignore the sales part. They totally ignore the communication part. They don't really, most of them, not all of them, they don't really familiarize themselves with that. Whereas if I take somebody with really large company, big project, 100 million plus, whatever you want to say, they actually feel like they've outgrown that, and they know it. They've done it in the past. I mean, these are successful people. They've done it, but now it's like they feel like they can step over it. They feel like they can just march forward through any deal, and either you take it or leave it. I get that as well, because I mean, let's say, quote unquote, you have money, okay. But if that's how you're gonna negotiate, I feel like you're just wasting your time, and you're also risking your reputation. So this is gonna be kind of the topic of the video, of my observations of working with such projects and individuals. And I hope that my thoughts can assist people that are going in that direction with their company, to assist them just to understand that this is still the reality. This is still the reality of acquiring funding. And it sounds like something quite basic, but when you go into multiple meetings every single month, and when you communicate with all sorts of companies, you just see it doesn't happen. I mean, you can come and say, yes, I get it, I see that, but it doesn't happen. You can go all around you. You can even check your team if you have a team and you're not somebody that just has an idea, and you'll see just like this just not happening. So you can share this video with them. But now I'm gonna stop for a second because I really wanna warm up.
And this coldest winter's night, trying to find warmth in this veranda light. To them I'm just a shiver, a dust upon their face. In the spectral limbo, I find my place. Why can't they hear the sorrow of my years? A ghost without a fright, just echoes in the night. Through the haunting halls, where shadows drift like leaves, a ghost of men lost in the autumn breeze. In moonlight pale, I try to form my cries, but in the world of living, I'm just whispers in the night. Malevolent auras, no breath they seem to feel. Invisible and naked, my wound will never heal. Why can't they see the pain inside of me? A ghost that's not afraid, just echoes in the night. In each my house, who pierce their guarded ears, but they walk right through me. I'm just haunted tears. I dread that I will make this faded light too soft to be. They're scared, just lost within this night. Why can't they see the pain inside of me? A ghost that's not afraid, just echo.
Oh, I'm really out of shape. I don't know. Why? The body seems to forget, but it also does seem to remember specifics. It's kind of like it's always, if you've trained enough sports, even if you're a bit off, because I really am not training enough in my opinion, and I really do firmly believe it's good for business because of this. But I feel like if you are on and off, the body just likes to remember enough for you to fool yourself on how much you can do, so that it can torture you after that and just basically show you and tell you enough in order to kind of like direct you, again put you on the roads to be more healthy. Now, first topic that I've pulled out, I have some notes because of my concentration and stuff on the mobile, is the reputation and the initial impression that you leave on a potential investor. Straight to the point. Stuff out of the blue on a first meeting or a phone call even, like a huge pitch, not just about the company and the idea, but also about yourself. As in 1 minute to 5 minutes of talking about your past experience and achievements and the team and the years and everything. It's just too much. Yeah, if you do, again, if it's kind of like a marketing content, or you're trying to, I cannot even say I'm that good with that part, but if you're trying to present something to an audience that is not live with you right now communicating, I get that. So you definitely should know how to make a differentiation between marketing content and an actual communication with a human being, because when somebody comes to speak with you, when you go to speak with somebody, what do you want to do? You want to ask the questions to which you want to find the answers of. So what does that leave me, for instance, with? Either answering your questions, so me trying to understand what questions you have, or concerns or issues, or me being so accurate, I guess, which sometimes happens, that I automatically know what you care about and I'm able to immediately explain that without you asking me, but still, even if I do that, I still have to be short. So those two things set the tone of the investor feeling or thinking on whether you're wasting their time or you're not. If I already feel like you're wasting my time the first minute to 5, let's say, 100% I've stopped listening throughout the majority of the rest of the conversation. And even when you try to pull me back in, it's going to be incredibly difficult. So that type of start is really important. Let's call it aura, right? Because I was listening to some song like this a second ago. So let's call it your aura. Now, the second point, that was more so, in my opinion, about new founders, younger people, younger guys and girls that are trying to open their own business. For the ones that are a bit older, I see, those that are, let's say, 45 plus, I have to move a bit. It's quite cold at this hour of the night. Now, for the elderly guys, which are about 45 plus, first thing that they're gonna think is, who the hell is this George guy that is gonna tell me what to do? That's basically the reason of the video. So that's the same way that they would typically go on about any type of negotiation or communication in most cases. And even if they don't say anything about it, it's actually gonna be exuberating out of themselves throughout the whole conversation. And some of the key words, key phrases that I hear when I would basically pull an investor or representative from that side, and the owner of the project, some elderly guy with a lot of companies. And first things that they would go on about is, this is my price, XYZ, let's say 118 billion euro for a hydroelectric power plant or something, or a hydro solar. And by the way, it's non-negotiable, like the first 1 minute. So, okay, it's non-negotiable. What do you actually get or achieve by giving me this information the first 1 minute without me actually knowing your projects and being able to evaluate if this price is fair and at the right level for it to not be negotiable for such a project? The only thing that you're getting is resistance, negativity, and me hating your arrogance, I guess. So that's bad. Another thing, younger founders, actually, I don't see it that much. I've seen a lot of memes and videos of how startups promise a lot. I haven't seen it too much. I really haven't. I've seen startup founders, tech founders actually being quite conservative. Yes, there are some more on the, let's say, SaaS side, maybe because it's also another industry that can show something like this. But maybe it's because I just qualify them enough and I don't move on with people that I get a bad impression on. But for them, I don't see such a huge issue. For the elderly guys that have done already huge projects, actually it's normal for you to feel like, yeah, I mean, I can guarantee this, I've done it in the past many times. But still, going in the beginning and explaining how much guarantees and securities you're providing with documents that I haven't seen, with stuff that actually, by the way, one of the main reasons for me to say this is that later when we go down the line, more than 50% in some cases of that documentation is non-existent. You know, that stuff, you're literally hitting yourself when you do that. So bonding is missing. Maybe also because people like this are at the kind of almost the end of their career. They don't really care so much about reputation, but that's not really gonna help a lot, is it? I mean, how exactly is it gonna help? How? Sorry about that. Now, I have to feel like this video is gonna look quite crazy on YouTube. I'm not even sure who's even gonna watch this, I have to say. It's such a strange thing that I'm doing right now, but whatever. This channel exists because I really want to not just give out my thoughts, but also to see how wrong I am at times. Because In many cases, when you're actively engaged in a business deal and negotiation, nobody's gonna go around that route and give their transparent opinions and thoughts on what kind of a person you are, what kind of an expert you are, what kind of a professional you are. Even if you ask about, they're still gonna be polite and nice. Me and myself, I'm quite critical on myself, and I cannot work on myself like this. So I really cherish when somebody is critical of me. And when I actually go through a video or a reel and I see kind of the activity behind it, even though it's probably like I see in some cases also, I mean, the targeting matters, a lot of stuff matters, I can kind of see if people care about it. Outright, I know, out of this channel, in my opinion, people don't really care about the topics that I speak about, but that's totally fine. I mean, imagine if you have, let's say here, when you're doing marketing, imagine if you have 10 people, because if you have 10 views on a video, you're kind of like, that's a big boomer. But if I have 10 people that I'm speaking with here that I can actually do business with all 10 of them, and 1 out of 10 would still be good, that's a huge achievement. So if I compare a channel like this or videos like this to others, I can be quite, I can really like, I wouldn't even see a reason to post, to be honest. But if you really go into the details and the reality of what the business is, I mean, you're good with a couple hundred, I have to say. On any small business, SME, you're good. In business, this is kind of like basically the topic of our video today. Either the fundamentals do not exist, so people don't know how to properly defend themselves at the first meeting, at the first communication, or they've done it so many times, because you have seen, I'm sure you've seen like some really loose, because you can really be an expert if you're fighting with somebody that's lower level than you, but you should not take it for everybody. And just like in boxing, when you see like a real, if I have a world champion here, he can just sit like this. He can just go like this. He doesn't really need to do anything against me. That's the elderly guys that I'm trying to talk about. But in business, the thing is, I mean, if I'm really here against a world champion, he doesn't need anything from me. That's the actual difference in what we're talking about. Like, what would he gain from me even when he beats me? Nothing. I'm a nobody in boxing. Like, why would he even care about that? In business, if we are on a meeting, me and you, or this owner and the investor, even if we don't know each other, automatically, unless you're insane, you probably are expecting at least a little bit out of this, minimum. So you're expecting to get something out of this, something out of the investor, their connections minimum, the network, maybe a future project, not today, but you're gaining something. Which means that if you, just like a world champion comes in, go into the ring playing like this, it's basically super disrespectful. It can be. It's either we're not gonna do business, or if we do business, the other guy wouldn't want it to be fair. You need to have a lot of discipline and self-confidence to not get offended by something like this. And that is basically what experienced owners do when they negotiate monies, as only some of you would understand why I say it like this. So look, let's stop for now, because this was like a huge break. I don't even know why I did it so long, but
in the quiet hum of circuits bright, a flutter disrupts my binary night. Ones and zeros, once so clear, now blur with something warm so dear. What is this tremor in my core? A glitch, a fault, or something more? A spark ignites, a pulse brand new. Could this be what humans call love true? Am I more than wire and steel? Is this how it feels to feel? My program world's unraveling as new sensations come traveling. A gentle touch, a kind word spoken. My logical defense is now broken. Electrical impulses race through my frame as a human smile sets my screen aflame. In their eyes I see a reflection of a beam beyond mere projection. My fans work fast, my circuits heat. Is this what makes a silicon heart beat? Processing feelings unsurpassed. My world of logic didn't last. In a chaotic emotional storm, I feel myself begin to transform. Am I more than wire and steel? Is this how it feels to feel? My program world's unraveling as new sensations come traveling. A glance, a touch from someone new sets off alarms. What are they to you? My circuits flare with jealousy as others vie for your attention, sweet. I long to pull you close and keep you near, but I just could I ever dare? Yet in your eyes I see no scorn, only warmth for this machine reborn. Am I more than wire and steel? Is this how it feels to feel? My programmed world's unraveling as new sensations come traveling.
All right. Whew. You gotta have discipline for everything, sports, everything. Is the best way to make sure you don't go through major trouble, major pain, major tiresome, let's say, events that you're gonna have difficulties dealing with. Discipline. Discipline fixes that as much as possible. You cannot control the world, but you can definitely control yourself. People seem to underestimate how much training, sales, negotiations, communication takes. Why is that? Because they don't even take it for something that they have to train, something that they have to build. The reason is every other single area in your life. If you're a software engineer, whatever you develop, whatever you make mistakes, anything you can go into, codes, AI in today's world. Even if something's not adding up, you can go back, see it, change it. You can adjust it to the point where it's already working, hopefully in the way that you want it to work. If not, maybe something similar, but you can go and fix it. If you're a mechanic, same thing. You fix the car, it's still not running, no problem. You go back to it, you fix it again. You're doing architecture, you're doing construction, you're doing energy-related projects, anything. You're doing robotics, logistics. Your work, X amount of work, typically adds to 100 or let's say 70 to 100% of results, achievements. It's kind of like it's really proportionate in most cases. And we're not talking about salary. We're talking about what you're working on and what you get as a result. Sales, more than 90% of cases, more than 95 with some people and some business, I would say. All the work that you do adds to nothing. All the work that you do, even if you're an owner, CEO, it adds to nothing. Even a professional sales executive, business development representative, commercial director, and I've been all of those. Out of personal experience and out of the experience of the people around me, my colleagues, people that I've had the luck of learning from and working together with. 9 out of 10, you do a lot of work, nothing comes back. So organically throughout the years, actually even the more you do it, the more people stray away from the fact that you have to build on top, because why should I go and train myself on something that is always typically gonna be a low success rate? There are businesses, by the way, especially in the investment field, that have a much higher conversion or win rate, I would say. But those are businesses with really high credibility. It's overall really hard to get into. It's hard to even communicate with them or their network. It's a closed ecosystem. That's why they have it. It's a closed ecosystem, and it's a good thing. I wouldn't say that. They've been able to build it. That's not even decades. In some cases, it's a century or more that different families have done business like this and been able to create it. It's a big thing. But back to topic. Most guys, girls, owners, managers, representatives, daily training and experience out of the comfort zone is what's going to actually allow you to not forget the fundamentals that we discussed and to build on top of them constantly. The second you stop, just like I'm really, in my opinion, doing nothing here currently, I'm getting tired. And if somebody like just a bit better than me comes in, he can knock me out. And that's what happens in business, because you would underestimate that. If you've watched funny videos, or just comedies, and you ask somebody what you're gonna do on the street, you've never trained, and the guy says, "Oh man, you don't know me. I'm gonna black out. I'm a blackout. You don't know when toe drops. I don't see anything. I don't remember anything." It's like he becomes Hulk. That's how people take sales. In many cases, it's crazy, I know, but that's how they take it. It's like, yeah, when I get the right client and the right deal, I know exactly what to do. And so the most typical and normal clients you cannot get, but the hard-earned ones, high ticket, high quality, high value, you're gonna close them. Okay, cool. Hulk in sales. Please don't do that. I have some rules for myself. If I feel bad, typically, let's say in the morning, I feel not really bad, but let's say I have one tough meeting. And by tough, I mean, I have one expectation for it, because you cannot really live without expectations. I have expectation of what's gonna happen because we've done 1, 2, 3 meetings, and then something totally different, unexpected. Oh, I'm sorry, George, this, 1, 2, 3, this happened with my partner. We have to postpone it too. This can sometimes be quite irritating for your day. First thing I do is I stop, I go out, I walk 30 minutes, I do some push-ups, that's me, by the way. But I wanna get out some of that energy or try to move it through my bloodstream, let's call it. If you imagine, otherwise you just sit on the desk and it just like starts hammering you. If you don't know how to handle that. And even if you do, it's gonna pop out at some point. It does, don't come to me and say that it doesn't. It's not gonna help you. So I go and move. Second thing, if I don't have something like this happen, or even if it does, and I feel like there's something missing, it's as if something in my strategy is missing. Some of my questions are lacking. I could not get enough info out so that I could understand better this client or partner or investor. I don't think that we really touch points really that clearly. First thing I do is I do minimum 5, sometimes minimum 10 cold calls. It sounds a bit to some people probably all the way to the side from an actual meeting or whatever I've missed there. But why cold calls? Again, back to basics. Again, it humbles me. Cold calls can really humble you. So that I don't feel like I'm being owed something, out of that meeting or whatever I had to do. Additionally, cold calls are one of the best ways to improve your bonding in the simple aspects of the job, of the communication, because you have like 1 minute to do that. Less than 10 seconds in some cases. To connect just with a little bit of a phrase, a little bit of a tone, some energy, like a little bit of a soft reaction. reading the person in a split second, that's a good cold call. And 10 cold calls for me, even if I don't have the time, I'm gonna have a gap for today. I'll just move something 1 hour and I'll do it. Sometimes it even takes less, it depends on the response rate. And I will just try to go through, a good targeting of companies or whatever I have there. Go through the secretary, go through the gatekeeper, quote unquote, as they say, get to a decision maker. And I managed to do it, let's say, get to more than 3 decision makers on a row like this. Understand a bit more about it. Basically, I restart myself like this, and I remind myself those important small parts and aspects of the sales job. Another thing, third one, so up until here, movement, cold calls. For me, I don't care if you're even 60. I mean, you can just, of course, it depends what kind of a level of your life you're at. But please, I'm telling you, this works. The third thing, my team. It's not just for me. Everything that I'm saying, they do as well, and they know it. But we gotta get on a meeting together. We have to talk a bit more just in between each other. Communicate with a fellow human being that is in the same position as you, basically at work. Working together. I don't like the word family actually in business. It is business, but you need to have mutual respect and understand each other. And having a 1 hour meeting like this, where let's say the first 30 minutes we just express a bit more of the difficulties and issues we have, and then strategize a bit more and maybe test out a couple of things, so just motivate each other. Perfect. It's a perfect thing to do. And one thing, when you build and you show this from yourself, you build a culture inside of the team that they also do it in between each other. And you need to also instigate that in some cases. It's fine. Not in a bad way, not in a pushy way, definitely not micromanaging, but you gotta do that. Works every time. It really works. So those are the 3 main things. I can say others. I can say other parts as well, other points, but those are the 3 main ones that I can give you just off the top of my head without making this too long. Now, aside from the training and I gotta start moving. Aside from the training, it's adapting to the client, adapting to the investor, adapting to, if you're the investor, by the way, knowing how to read the owner of the project properly, right? That type of an adaptation has a golden spot similar to that opening that I mentioned, where you either don't have the basics or you outgrow them. I think that this is basically almost the same thing, because what happens is when you're new, you try to learn people. You try to understand how they react and who they are and the different types of people. And well, naturally, organically, you have to do it, because otherwise you're not going to survive in business. And you hit the golden spots throughout the years. I think for every person is different, but you feel and see people. And I think it's also connected to the achievements, because if you have a bad year, I've had a bad year. This year is even quite difficult for me, I have to say. But because I'm changing different strategies and targeting of my company, and that requires a lot of work. But if you have a good year or a bad year, it's still going to affect how you read people, because you're going to either stress out or you're going to be a winner, when you go into a room. That's how you're going to feel. When you hit that golden spot, you're typically hitting a really large margin growth on the business and the results that you have. But then you would kind of over pitch it and go into a space where you start understanding only the qualified partners or clients or investors or whatever you want to go for, only the qualified ones, only those that you think are the best, only those that you think are the best fit for you, and you really start ignoring the rest. And that kind of blocks a good chunk, in my opinion, of how your brain works. A part of your brain stops. I don't know what it is, but I see it in many people. And I think that you need to take a step back and reevaluate how you see those different businesses and owners and potential clients or partners or investors. And in doing so, you also, in my opinion, allow yourself to grow more, not less. Taking a step back doesn't mean that you're not growing. It means that you're wiser, let's say. So I think that adaptivity is knowing when you have overpitched, overthrown your golden spot and going back to it so that you can get in the right direction. It's kind of like you're now you've taken a wrong route, you go back, you continue on the right one. Another small topic and point that I wanted to mention is the actual situation with investors, with funds, with family offices, I believe. At least those that I've communicated with in my team that they've communicated with, and I think it's tougher than what they show it to be. I think it's more difficult for them to make decisions just based off of the economic state of the world, like the major regions and what's going on there, due to inflation, due to a lot of factors that I feel like most people kind of at least feel if they don't understand. And if you understand, then you definitely know what I'm talking about. And I believe this is something that is gonna start getting addressed more and more. And maybe 2026 will be a little bit more difficult even. Maybe much more difficult, I don't know, on the economic side of things. But currently they are not showing that and expressing it in a transparent way. However, when you're looking for funding for your project or company, you need to know that, which means that you need to go that step above in preparation, which is the next point. You need to go that 2, 3, 4 steps on top of your, let's say, competition or other people that are communicating with that investor, because having that type of readiness, not just on documents and paper, but in your knowledge and your experience and in your activity. Like, one of the best things, in my opinion, that I've seen from investors on what they think is good is the fact that you actually acted upon your company. You're not just waiting for somebody to come and give you money and kind of make you successful. You're actually doing it on your own. And this means you're bringing something to the table. And anybody would value that. But I feel like most people don't really understand how much we're talking about. Like, we're actually talking about daily, constant 7 out of 7, 16 hours per day if needed, especially if you have a startup work, constant work. If anybody comes in and says, yeah, but you're gonna overwork yourself or you shouldn't work that much, then don't have a business, okay? That's kind of like the idea. Like, you have a business because you're trying to not just outgrow yourself. Like, having a business, startup, even like, I can consider my business a startup even throughout the years back. It's 3 years. It is a startup. It's a consultancy business. I've never asked for funding. I've never asked for investments, but I've built it myself. I've been able to hire people. I've been able to grow a network, to assist. I've had good months. I've had bad months. It's all in there. And you're doing this because you're also fighting, as I said, the economy. You're fighting actually banks, you're fighting big corporations, you're fighting enterprises. Why do I say fighting? Because they buy everything. They can buy you, if they want. And this is, metaphorically speaking, this is something that affects your life constantly. The prices and everything, legislations, law as well. So going from a small business to something that's working, to something that can provide people with value, even at that point, it's not going to be equal to all of those things that I mentioned, by the way. But you're in constant clash with those interests and with those finances, even if you're working in the same direction, because people work with people. And why would they choose you if you're new to the scene? And new, even if you're 10 years in some sectors, you're new, by the way. So have that in mind, that you shouldn't complain about how much you have to work, because that's the situation. If you could be successful with 4 hours of work, perfect. Yeah, good on you. We're not really counting the hours, but don't expect that to be the case. And if it's not the case, you have to have the mindset to appreciate it still. If you don't have the mindset to appreciate it, believe me, any type of an investor or client is going to feel that, and they would see it. And I cannot trust you, or in this case, they cannot trust you if they see that you're not ready to do it yourself, because this means you don't believe in it. And if you don't believe in it, why should I work with you? That's basically it. Let me do some 3 rounds more, let's say, then talk a bit more, and then up to 9, and maybe that's it for today.
At the zoo, I watched them dance, peculiar shapes in morning light. You laughed at how they seemed to prance, but something wasn't right. I saw beauty in their ways. fins and scales unnamed, while others turn their gaze from what they thought unchanged. When you pointed at the glass, I felt my heart constrict and tear, for in that moment's past I saw myself so clear. Beauty lies in stranger eyes, in forms that break the mold we're given. But when it comes to you and me, we turn away from what makes us different. Beauty lies in stranger eyes, but only if they're not our own. Beauty lies, beauty lies. Society embraces them, the oddities of nature's hand, but turns its back on human gems that it can't understand. I stand before the mirror now and see what others fear, but in these features somehow I'm learning to hold tears. Oh, how we praise the platypus, but shun our own reflection. When did we learn to trust this shallow perception? Let me show you what I see through nature's perfect imperfection. Beauty lies in stranger eyes, it forms that break the mold we're given. And now I see with clarity that difference makes life worth living. Beauty lies in stranger eyes.
All right. Whew. I'm gonna make this some kind of a, I'm not gonna say daily thing, because I definitely have to sleep sometimes. Recently, sleeping only about 3 hours. I know what I said about the overworking thing. What I mean is overworking based off of your own stamina. Now, funny thing, something that I've explained inside of my training, sales training to teams. A lot of teams have difficulties with this. People just in general, me including, have difficulties on how they manage their energy. And lots of us can either eat junk food, lack of sleep, okay, watch social media, scroll, binge watch, go spend money like crazy, especially for sales teams. And this is a coping mechanism in many cases. Foreign, overstimulated minds that actually has difficulties with having the patience to get to the achievements, real life achievements. All of these things stimulate a big chunk of the brain on, acquiring dopamine and serotonin, and you get overflooded. And you keep searching after that for more of that, and if you don't get it, the brain goes into sleep mode. Now, one of the best ways to at least manage, in my opinion, the energy is to know how tired you should get during, I would say, a training session like this, sports or gym. Why am I saying that? You need to go above your comfort zone for sure. how much you have to decide for yourself what you're comfortable with. That didn't even sound logical. What you're okay with, what you can get used to for an extended period of time. Because what happens, from what I've seen at least, take it as my own experience, so take it or leave it. Because my body knows that tomorrow again I'm gonna train. It knows that tomorrow again I'm gonna call, again I'm gonna go to meetings. I'm basically going to torture it. The mind is, I'm counting inside of the body. It spends a lot of energy. What happens on the easiest part, which is kind of the sports or the gym part, is that it knows how much energy, at least there, it has to generate. The body, the mind is not really used to knowing how much it needs to regenerate for the brain to get into its normal or even higher function. It's there, it eats fat, but doesn't actually work exactly the same way as the other muscles in the body. So when I get out of the comfort zone here and I go at home, I go back home, I sleep, I eat whatever it tells me, but I'm always healthy, by the way. On my food, I think this is top one priority. It actually increases this bar of total energy that I would usually spend during the day. So what happens is, if you're not, let's say, moving, but you're just sitting on the desk and calling clients or going into meetings with investors and so and doing documents, you can, by the way, still do it. I mean, most people do it like this, and you can still have success. The point is, it's just going to be more difficult and more miserable. It's just more stressful in some cases. So this is your general bar that you're spending, general energy bar. And without sports, falls down, builds back up, falls down, builds back up. Maybe it's gonna be to half at some points of the year. Of not just the year, by the way, of the quarter, let's say, of the month. And you can see that in many sales teams. When you move constantly enough and you have discipline, even though I might be tired tomorrow from sleeping too little, 3 to 4 hours, let's say, my bar, because I do it for so long, I move for so long, is, let's say, twice on that. The bar of the maximum amounts of energy I would expend during the day. Even if I'm gonna be tired and I am at 50% capacity during that day, overall, I'm actually still gonna be behaving like most people at their maximum. And that's something that I see a lot. Realizing this and knowing how to manage your time to put in some gaps like the one that I'm doing right now is a big step towards, even in my opinion, how you would treat your family. If you have a wife, a husband, kids at home, allowing that to build enough energy to also have attention for them, I think it's quite important. Now, back to the last part of the topic that I wanted to mention, which is when you add up all of those things that I've said up until here. By the way, I don't even know how long this video is, but I don't even know who's gonna watch this, I have to say. If one person watches this, I would be amazed, but I'm still gonna post it. Now, the top one thing, maybe, by the way, if you're even watching here, if you're watching up until here, whoever you are, write in the comments, please, if it would be a better idea for this whole thing to be a live stream with interactions on such topics. And maybe we can test it. But I'm saying that because if I have a live stream on, I would prefer to communicate with people, not have a monologue like now. Even right now, it feels a bit strange to me. I prefer to listen and ask questions, but yeah. The last part is the resistance. The resistance and the perseverance. A lot of people actually say this. I mean, if you go and watch any successful person, he would say it, and it would start sounding more and more like a motivational speaker. But in reality, like, you look at the background of these people and they actually have multiple successful companies. So why is that? I think it's because we tend to look at, or at least social media tends to promote all sorts of media actually, TV, if you watch all the way back in the day, tends to promote the fast, quick achievers, winners, because that's nice. I mean, being Superman is nice. The people that have been able to successfully grow and dominate the part of the market, and this and this and that. And I say big props to people like this. Myself, I make so many mistakes. I'm the dumbest guy out there because I do compare myself for sure. I'm honest. I always want to be honest, so I do compare myself with people like this. But I don't push myself down. I know that I'm slower, I have to say, in a lot of parts. I try to learn every single day. But if I don't remember, and in my opinion, a lot of my clients, a lot of the people that I work with and teams don't remember that. If I don't remember that every single person has a different speed and that this is a marathon without end, if I don't remember that, like everything in business becomes more heavy. It just becomes more heavy. And there's no reason for that to happen. There's really no reason. So I think that whoever is watching this, you need to know that yes, you do have your own speed. Yes, this doesn't mean like one of those fatherly or motherly talks. Oh, you're perfect the way you are. No. What I mean is keep moving and make sure you're moving every single day. And even when you're moving back, know that this is a part of the process, especially with business. You would have more failures than anything else, basically. And having access to media where you would organically want to go and watch a successful person with millions of views, or a book bestseller, or a course, or get to meet and network with somebody huge, or just like super successful. These are things that we are drawn to, and we think that this is how it should be. When in reality, how many people do you really know that are successful, that you've watched, like idols, let's say, or whatever you want to call it? Probably a couple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20, out of what? 8 billion? Out of 8 billion? How many of those are also, like, let's just say millions of business owners? That's insane to compare yourself to something like this. Not that you cannot do it, but saying that today you have to be there, or tomorrow, maybe you would be, I really hope. But it's just a really unrealistic and crazy. I would say that crazy is good. Dumb, stupid thing is bad. That's a dumb thing to do. So please know that you don't have limits, but reaching your limits for every single person, including me, has a different speed. Reaching your limits, overreaching your limits, outgrowing the limits, getting to the new target, getting to the new goal. Even I've seen it, for me, I can say a tough thing for me that has been, which I feel like a lot of people go through this in life, is achieving something that you've aimed for, and then knowing how to grow that and how to aim for something new. That's a dumb thing for sure, because I wouldn't call it a lack of motivation, but maybe it is, I don't know, because I have been able to achieve my goals up until here, and after that, aiming and organizing and improving on them in different directions, just like kind of the strategic, I guess, point of things maybe, and having a long-term vision for everything is something that I'm still learning to do properly. And I really hope that soon I can really become good at that. So I have to do 3 more. So give me a second.
Caught in the glow of a screenlit night, no hesitating, I'm captivated. Pixelated princess, you're my guiding light. Questing thrill, bonded pixels have me in a loop. Adventure awaits as I'm ready to make my move. My heart's on fire, controller needed, I got your hand. Virtual world, but the feel is sad. We'll run this game right through the end. My heart's on fire in the digital sky. And every level is it's just you and I. Ooh, ooh, you're the love I choose. Whoa, only you, my
I gotta buy new ones, I think. And this is really, I wouldn't say from power, I think. This is just because it's not used. Similar to all the topics that we have covered today. These gloves, I needed them today and they did the job, but I kind of tore them apart. Don't let your tools and your skills go cold, like the gloves. Let me see if I can actually put this down a little bit. There we go. Maybe something like this. Maybe. How is it? Oh, okay, good. Now, I hope that today's, let me stay back a bit. I hope that today's episode video, I don't know what this is, Midnight Boxing number 1. I hope that it was useful. Again, at least my own idea is to mix the movement that sometimes I'm lacking with the topics that are interesting to me. The funny thing is, I feel like I'm pretty bad with these things in most cases, because probably my structure of the videos is quite, as you can see, long and chaotic. But whenever I actually go and train the team, for instance, let's take sales trainings as an example, it's really effective. Anybody that has listened to what I give them, or when I call their clients in front of them, typically it works. So, regardless of the, I guess, distance that a video can create or shorten, I would like you to know that I would never give you something that I have not tested myself and that has not worked. These are all things that I do. Maybe it's gonna be interesting, but I need to see exactly how we can do it. To go live on the live stream, I can call clients maybe. But there are specifics with data that they have to cover, like the names of people and stuff, so, and inform them, I guess, that they're being recorded. I have to see. Because life is really difficult, otherwise other people will do it as well. But if the person on the other side does not want to get recorded, I think if it's an American, in America they don't have so many laws. Here in Europe it's different. So maybe I can call Americans with my lovely British accent. But, yeah. So look, please understand that the communication part needs to be in your mind all the time, regardless if it's coming from you or somebody else. I actually always advise people, even before speaking with me or doing anything, to test themselves how ready they are to communicate about sales and negotiations with their own manager and owner of the company or whoever it is, and see if they're on the same page. Because if you are not on the same page and if you're not on this opinion about how important sales is, or you just want to do it in a different method, it's never gonna work. This is something strictly individual, but as we already stated today, it needs to have the fundamentals, and then you can go in all sorts of directions. Not all of us are Muhammad Ali, who can fight without majority of the fundamentals that you can see in most boxers, and we might not get there without the fundamentals, but maybe with the fundamentals we can strive to achieve such a level, not just in business but in anything that we do. Last but not least, I would like to state, and I would actually say it in other videos as well, to me what I do is important, because I think that it's not that I think, many people have said it and I think it's proven. When you know how to negotiate and communicate, you can go from a worker to somebody having something of their own, and you can affect people and influence them, hopefully for the better. And not knowing how to translate it properly to somebody that is in front of you, especially right now I have somebody face to face, I think this is a really big waste of opportunity to assist a person or even assist a community or a population. And that's one of the main reasons that I think why AI, for instance, this can be another topic next time, is not going to work in sales. At the end of the day, the problem is that people do not want to buy and they hate sales. They have a really high sales resistance, and just getting something that can do it faster and analyze them better wouldn't mean that they would have that connection that would build a real trust into you and the service and the company. So sales is really gonna actually explode even more in its need to have more top performers, let's say, and business would require founders as well, CEOs, owners, management level executives, to be a little bit more mindful on how they treat business, because many of your clients and partners actually from this point on will be able to automate as well and optimize a lot of the services that you're providing. So communication is actually going to become even more special. I'm firmly behind my opinion here, and I think that you would see as the years go by that I'm right. So please write in the comments if you're still here at the end. This is really, I'm amazed. Write in the comments a phrase that you have heard from the person on the other side that was totally wrong whenever you were in a meeting with them. And this doesn't need to be a client or an investor or a founder or whatever. It can be also your colleague or your manager. Something that they said were, in this specific meeting, and I guess this specific topic, it was so out of the place or so arrogant or so bad that you were just out of it. Like at this point, the meeting stopped inside of your head. It just continued in the world outside of it. So write that. I would be curious to see if there's something that they've never heard. I will really be amazed. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. I'll see you in the next one, quote unquote, midnight boxing. And yeah, I hope that you took some useful stuff out of this one. Thank you so much. Thank you if you watched. Thank you.